In this video, we're going to delve into a fascinating, perhaps even heretical theory within the realm of horror cinema. And that is the possibility that Jason Voorhees, the iconic machete-wielding powerhouse of Camp Crystal Lake, is not merely a resurrected corpse or a hulking human, but something far more insidious, a deadite or another form of entity born from the unholy pages of the Necronomicon ex mortis, such as a Kandarian demon. Pardon me. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Jason Voorhees is Friday the 13th. Ash Williams is Evil Dead. Two separate franchises. Two separate universes. And at face value, you'd be absolutely right. However, I aim to convince you that the lines between these universes are far blurrier than traditionally perceived. And that's a deep dive into the lore, creator intent, and the interwoven tapestry of horror cinema suggests a profound connection. Aye. Let's begin with the core of our argument. Well, not argument, idea, theory. The supernatural nature of Jason's immortality and restlessness pursuit from his initial drowning in Crystal Lake. Jason's resurrection and subsequent rampage defy conventional explanation. He is not simply a ghost. He possesses a physical, howbeit seemingly indestructible form. He shrugs off gunshots, stabbings, explosions, and even being dragged to hell and back. Literally. In one instance. This level of supernatural resilience is not typical of a mere human. No matter how strong or deranged they may be. This is where the Evil Dead universe, and specifically the Necronomicon ex mortis, becomes a compelling lens through which to view Jason. The Necronomicon, as we know, is a book of unspeakable evil, capable of raising the dead, possessing the living, and unleashing horrific entities upon the world. The Deadites, those tormented, reanimated corpses, exhibit a similar relentless drive, a supernatural strength, and an almost impossible capacity for self-repair, much like Jason. They are not merely reanimated bodies. They are vessels for malevolent entities. Think about the various forms of demons and entities we've witnessed throughout the Evil Dead series, both in the original films and the recent excellent TV series, Ash vs. Evil Dead. We've seen human possession, trees becoming animated, and malicious, demonic apparitions, and a whole host of other grotesque manifestations of the Necronomicon's power. The point is the Necronomicon's influence isn't limited to one specific type of demonic entity or manifestation. Stop it. It's a wellspring of supernatural horror. Is it so far-fetched, then, to suggest that the malevolent force that repeatedly brings Jason back could be a variant of the Deadite phenomenon? Or another type of demonic entity unleashed by or intrinsically linked to the Necronomicon's power? So I can't do the voices too well. But the argument goes deeper than mere thematic similarities. Yes. We need to address the C word, canon. And, and this is where things truly gets exciting. Because the idea of a shared universe between Friday the 13th and Evil Dead is not just fan speculation. It has been explicitly acknowledged by the very architects of these franchises. The most significant piece of evidence lies within the crossover film Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash. While the film, sadly itself, never made it out to the big screen, the concept was developed, scripts were written, and perhaps most importantly, it had the blessing and involvement of both Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger, and crucially, Bruce Campbell's Ash Williams, as well as the directors and creators involved in their respective franchises. The premise of this crossover was that Jason's enduring evil was in fact linked to a Necronomicon hidden at Crystal Lake. This directly links Jason's supernatural resilience to the very source of dead-eyed power. The fact that the creators intended this to be the explanation for Jason's immortality speaks volumes about their internal understanding of his nature. It wasn't just a gimmick for a crossover, it was an attempt to provide a canonical explanation for something that had been unexplained for decades. Furthermore, Sean S. Cunningham, the creator and director of the original Friday the 13th, has openly discussed the connection and the idea of a shared universe. He's mentioned the difficulty in fully realizing the Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash project due to various production hurdles, but the intent was always there to weave these narratives together. However, it's also interesting to point out that the Necronomicon Ex Mortis did make a cameo in Jason Goes to Hell, including a magical dagger. When the creators of these worlds suggest a shared origin for their monsters, we should pay attention. It's not just fan fiction, it's the designers of the sandbox telling us how their toys fit together. Now let's broaden our perspective beyond just Friday the 13th and Evil Dead. The horror and slasher film genres, despite their seemingly separate universes, have a long and rich history of subtle and not so subtle intertextual references. It has a meta-narrative playground where filmmakers acknowledge and celebrate each other's creations. Consider the numerous instances where one film will mention a location from another. How many times have we heard references to Elm Street in films that have nothing to do with Freddy Krueger, or Crystal Lake mentioned in passing in a movie, in a slasher movie or horror movie, completely unrelated to Jason? These aren't just throwaway lines, they are deliberate nods, Easter eggs, and a subtle acknowledgement that these universes, while seemingly separate, exist within a larger, interconnected horror cosmology. It's almost as if the filmmakers are winking at the audience, suggesting that these events, these monsters, these places of terror, all exist on the same twisted map. This interconnectedness isn't always overt, it's often atmospheric. The very feeling of dread that permeates these films, the sense of an ancient, malevolent force at play, is often consistent across franchises. The idea that there are gateways, weak points in reality, or ancient evils that manifest in different ways across seemingly distinct locations. Stop it. Is a recurring theme in horror. The Necronomicon, with its ability to summon and empower diverse entities, serves as the perfect unifying force for such a cosmology. Imagine for a moment that the Necronomicon isn't just one book, but a series of interconnected texts, or that its power emanates in different ways across the globe. Perhaps the evil at Crystal Lake is a unique manifestation of a deadite-like entity drawn to the site of Jason's traumatic death, much like the cabin in Evil Dead acts as a magnet for demonic forces. The sheer malevolence and the cycle of death and resurrection could be a localized Necronomicon effect, and that, as hinted in Jason Goes to Hell, that his mum, in her grief, used the Necronomicon, to bring back her dead son. In conclusion, the proposition that Jason Voorhees is a deadite or another Necronomicon-based entity is not merely a fan theory born of wishful thinking. It's a compelling argument or idea supported by several key pillars. First, Jason's supernatural resilience and relentless nature align perfectly with the characteristics of deadites and other demonic entities seen in the Evil Dead series. Second, and most crucially, the explicit intent of the creators, particularly through the development of the Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash crossover, as well as Jason Goes to Hell, establishes a canonical link between Jason's power and the Necronomicon. Finally, the broader contextuality within the horror genre, where films frequently reference each other's iconic locations and elements, suggests a larger interwoven universe where these terrifying sagas can coexist and even influence one another, like Freddy vs. Jason, I suppose. So, the next time you watch Jason emerge from the depths of Crystal Lake, consider not just the hockey mask and the machete, but the ancient unspeakable evil that might be truly pulling his strings. Perhaps he's not just a mama's boy with a grudge, but a silent and holy testament to the enduring, pervasive power of the Necronomicon Ex Mortis. So with that, thank you for watching my video, and take care and be well. So anyway, yeah, let me know your thoughts on that, and yeah, and before I was thinking, before I go to bed, I might do a spot of reading, I mean, these old books, hey, what possibly could go wrong?